we are live.
What's
Back
up?
again.
What's good?
Sean's sipping some Worcestershire sauce out of that nice mug.
Hey
I
man,
got a little...
I'm already hitting the gin. It's Sunday night. I'm hitting the gin.
Oh, is that really gin?
Yo, yeah,
You
of course it is,
son
mate.
of a... You Sir Alec Isagonis. I got iced coffee over here.
Hey.
Ravi, you're somewhere in between our time zones, I guess. You're in...
It's noon here, and I'm water.
There we go. All right. Hey, there we go. I was gonna say I got coffee. We got coffee, water, gin. We're running the gamut here. We're back in Canada with at Saskatchewan, right, Ravi?
Right, that's the way you say it, Saskatchewan.
There we go. Look at that. I'm excited for this one. Me and Ravi have done a little chin wag over Instagram. And it seems like he's got some sweet stories for us. So I appreciate you being on. And let's see, your Instagram to plug it up front so people can kind of check it out while we're talking. What is it? X2Board? Is that it?
Yeah, that's right. X2Board. Yeah, X2Board.
Go check out X2Board. He's got some stuff on there, and we'll dive into it in a little bit here because it seems like you've been around the game for a long time, and you got some cool stories. So appreciate you being on. Let's jump into it. Always, how did you get into minis? What attracted you to the mini? Have you been a car guy for life or a mini guy for life? Tell me.
Forever, since before I was born. So I'm from a small island in the Caribbean called Trinidad. And in Trinidad, we back in the 60s and 70s, the majority of cars on the island was British cars. And my dad worked for a dealership that brought British cars onto the island. So he was always into minis, Land Rovers, Rovers. We had a P5 once, Hillman Hunters, Imps, all of those things. So, and late 70s, he left and he opened his own shop. So there was always an influx of minis and British cars, we lived upstairs the shop, so everything was. I had as a little kid, and a mini looks like a toy. You could play with you had your choice of colors. You could just run downstairs and just be playing around in each one of those cars, right? So yeah, I was involved with minis. In fact, there's a picture somewhere where they brought me home from the hospital in a little 850 orange mini with Italian job lights and it's orange with two Cooper stripes across the hood. It's so I've been involved for a very long time.
That that cracks me up because nowadays, if somebody was bringing you're getting wheeled out of the hospital and they're like, "All right, where's your ride?" And this little tin can mini pulls up, they'd be like, Child Protective Services." That's awesome. I love that. Side note on that, I went to this just local kind of car meetup in this younger couple, probably 30s, late 20s, early 30s, something like that. They roll up in this sweet Baja bug looking thing with a roll cage. They get out and then they pull a little baby out of a carrier out of the back seat. And I was like, yeah, that's sick. That's awesome.
And when my son was born, I had my race mini that I used to go. I stopped racing when the kids were born. So my 1275 fully built mini with the roll cage and everything. We used to it was down tuned for the street. So I put his baby seat in the passenger side and strap it to the roll cage. And when we pull up to the racetrack, everybody knew it was a race car, so they let me drive straight into the pits. And I come out and I take the baby seat out of and unbuckle it from the harness. And they're like, "You're not gonna leave the kid here and race the car, right?" Like, no.
She's like, hey, can you watch something for me? Oh man, that's pretty cool.
On top of a
Yeah. So you're originally from Trinidad, then?
That's right. Yeah, I moved to Canada about 11 years ago.
Okay, interesting. Well, I want to jump into what kind of made that move, but my question first is always, it always kind of blows my mind that there's a big mini scene in these small islands or these places that you wouldn't think. Why, or do you know maybe why was there a big British car scene? Was there something about did the damn Brits try to take over Trinidad and Tobago way back in the day too, just like everything else?
That's exactly what it is. We got independence in the '60s, I think '65 or something. I'm not. I
Aye.
shouldn't say what year
60s,
because
wow.
I should know this. Anyway, yeah, we got independence in the '60s, but we're a British colony. We have the same prime minister system and the whole political school time. I did O levels and A levels, probably just like Sean did. So yeah, the same. We had the same basic, followed the same format as the UK or England until even after we got independence, we still carried on. We still wear school uniforms and everything. Like that's so the because of that, the influx of the British, we still had British street names and towns. The architecture in the islands it looks the same. So we had a lot of British cars. British cars was the thing before the Japanese market kind of took over everything. But yeah, it was always British cars.
That's
Wow.
it, Mike. See,
And then
influencing the world an island at a time.
I don't know if that's called influence.
yeah,
That's called that's called power hungry. that's called that's called
but you
trying to
know,
take
again,
over other territory that's not yours. That's okay. Americans did the same thing. I can't. I can't just sorry. Ay, ay, ay. Wow. So
yeah.
what was it? What was the car scene like there? I mean, I know that you know, we can touch on it too, probably later. But you said you started a mini club there. What was it like? How was that growing up in
So
Trinidad and starting the mini scene?
well, just the same way it was in the UK and England, minis were just a regular car. It's just a means of transportation in the
Hmm.
80s, 90s. I first got my mini in 93, I think it was. So and there's a huge car scene. Japanese imports. There's U.S. muscle. There's British. So everybody there was. Me and I had my mini. I fixed it up and started driving it around, and then everybody else stopped me every time I'm putting gas or just stopping me at the side of the street and say, "Hey, I got a mini parked up at home. It's been there for years." And then another friend of mine, he got his mini up and running, so we'd be driving together, right? We'd be going to the same place with these blue and this white mini, just driving down. And then everybody started stopping us, talking to us, and everything. So we realized that there's a huge amount of minis just parked all over the place, just waiting for parts. Didn't have the expertise to fix them or whatever. So we just started the club. We started taking down names, what parts you need for your car, and started an email list, just sending it out to everybody and said, if you guys need help to fix your car or get it up and running, we're two young guys. We got no commitments. We could come there and work on your car all day. So we
Yeah.
just did that just for fun, right? Building that whole community. We built that whole rapport with everybody, former mini owners, new mini owners, people who wanted to get the cars back up and running. So we had this huge, like almost all of the old minis that were able to run, that didn't need major repairs. We got those cars running, and then we said, "Hey, let's drive down to the beach one day. Let's go get something to eat." So we'd all have all these cars just driving down, and then the local racing fraternity, the motorsport group from Trinidad, saw us driving down the road one day and said, "Hey, would you like to bring all of your minis, put it on the track, and do an exhibition lap before our big circuit race?" And we were like mind blown, right? Holy crap, our mini's getting to be on the racetrack. So yeah,
Yep.
uh, we got out there. Yeah, we went up there with about 20 minis that day, but probably only 10 made it because the rest of them were leaking too much oil to put on the racetrack. But yeah, we got all the winnings. And we made a couple laps, and then all the spectators and everybody just started getting in contact with us. We had our we didn't have a website. We did have an email. We didn't have Facebook, wasn't out back then or anything. So yeah. So people started coming up to us, and we started printing flyers. We had mini flyers, and we just drop it at in windshields, like and if we pass by a house and there's the shadow of a mini out in the backyard, and we could see it, we'd stick a flyer in the mailbox. So yeah, we got that whole the whole club going like that, and then right now it's pretty huge. I think they have 300 members. I think they have about
Wow.
200 cars. When I moved away, the guys who took over the club, they were even featured. I don't know if you guys know this My Classic Car in the US as a TV show. Dennis has got this big mustache. My
Yep.
Classic Car.
Yep.
It's you, right. He actually came to Trinidad for a show, and the guys from the club took him down, drove him around the island on minis. So it was it was pretty. It got pretty big. The club is pretty big back there, and what helped it a lot too is that the JDM minis became available to import into the island. So we got a lot of minis. We just brought them in from Japan, and they're air conditioned, so you need that in the tropics, right? So it was
100%,
a
man.
huge seller. Oh yeah, people would just be buying them and just getting them fixed up, so you didn't have the rust to deal with, and they're fairly new. When I left there, my last car was a '97 SBI Mayfair that I just
Oh
bought.
wow.
Didn't have to do anything mechanical to it. Just changed the color, painted a nice metallic blue, bought some rims and tires for it, and yeah, I drove that as my daily driver every day, and my commute was 45 minutes to and from work. So yeah, it was a great it's the mini scene is pretty big in Trinidad, and because of that, we take the cars, put in a ferry, and go over to the other islands. We went to Grenada for their
Oh
independence
yeah.
run, and we did
Oh,
it.
that's cool.
And they Oh yeah, it's there's a lot of there's a Facebook page called Trini Mini from Trinidad, Trini Mini. It's got like whenever they do runs, they put some pictures up there and everything, but it's being run by the guys in Trinidad right now. Yeah.
That's so sick.
That is really
Yeah.
cool. And I got my Mini when I was living in Hawaii, and I never got it. Well, actually, I lied. I did get it. Excuse me. I did get it running right before I left, but I didn't get to like drive it around the island. But I would imagine cruising the Mini around is like an amazing island car. It's it's good weather most of the time, obviously tropical storms and things like that, but just like cruising to the beach with the windows down or just along the coast. I bet that's epic.
You can't beat that feeling, man. Depression doesn't exist when you have a Mini. You roll the windows down, blast your tunes, you drive down the coast, and you're just getting there is more fun than actually being at the beach or at the seaside when you get there. Just driving there
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
open windows and music, it's nothing beats
100%.
that feeling.
It doesn't exist when you have a running Mini. A running Mini. That's the key there. We're dealing with some issues, anyway.
Man, the rut that you and I are in right now,
Yeah.
Mike.
Oh man,
I'm in the same boat. My Mini's it's we got like a foot of snow on the roads right now. It's outside, so it's
oh yeah.
we got like 6 months.
You're not in the Caribbean anymore. This is the aftermath of my garage session yesterday. Blew my blew my phone apart. Yeah, we'll get back in there and win. It's right now it's Mini 1, Mini Mike 0. But tell me about I saw on your Instagram, or maybe you sent me something, Wallerfield races. Is that in Trinidad or was that somewhere else?
Yeah. No, it's in Trinidad. It's exactly as you see. Sean talked about that abandoned World War American war base. This was actually a base back in where the after it was an abandoned base. So they turned the landing strip, and did another side of it with curves and everything. So the landing strip became the straightaway, and the other half of the strip became the track. So we used to drag race on the runway, and then do the circuit races on the other half. And it still had all the old buildings and everything when I left. Now it's completely revamped. They did the whole thing, put proper stands, put proper pit area and everything. But when I was growing up,
cool.
It was basically an abandoned base. You could drive there. We used to drive there to test cars whenever we did something. We just go up there. It wasn't no gates or anything. You could just drive straight onto the track, and you could drive your car as long as you wanted. We used to go up there and just have fun. That was before it became what it is now. So yeah, it's an abandoned base. Right now it's called the Frankie Boudram International Raceway. So right now it's completely rebuilt. It's named after a famous racer from Trinidad, and they have Miata Cup. They have a couple of is it Rascals or what's the other kind of kit car type thing? I can't even remember. I'm not even there anymore. But yeah, it's a huge. They have a huge racing scene. So that pictures I sent you from Wallerfield, it's we used to go up there on a Sunday, and anything. It used to be like run what you brung. Anything goes. You'd go up
That's
there.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah, I'd go there, and then I ran a couple of races with my old 1275 Mini. This one was built bulletproof. Me and my dad, He's an old mini guy, so we built this engine bulletproof. We put forged pistons, steel crank,
Wow.
stage 3 headers, Weber 45, whatever I could put into that engine, we did it. And we went up to the track just on a Sunday, just cruising, just went up there, and I raced one guy with a micro turbo, and I put like about 3 car lengths on him. And then nobody else wanted to race me because they saw this little dinky mini with 10-inch tires coming up there. They didn't think it's gonna, and because the car was idling, it had a 649 cam on it, so that's an old British overlap, pitching black smoke out of the back kind of cam. So yeah, so it was it. So they thought that there was a problem with a misfire. That's how bad that cam was, right? But yeah, when you got up to and then I put a Austin America engine in it, and I did not change the final drive, so it was like a 4-1 or something. So on 4th gear, you'd be screaming at the top of the track.
Wow.
But like from home to the track, I'd have to drive it like 30 miles per hour. I couldn't go faster.
Oh yeah, that's that'd be rough.
Oh yeah. Eventually, I changed it back. I changed it down to those HLE drives from a Metro to a 2.9 final drive or something like that. It was. And with that engine and that 2.9, man, you up on the highway because you could just go because you had the built engine, now you had the final drive, and there's an A+ box. Eventually, I put an A+ block in there and everything, so it was revving pretty high. And yeah, that was a pretty good engine. So I used to go up there on the track, and then what I'd have to do, you'd have a crew of guys, right? All your buddies and everybody, and he'd run around and ask everybody, "Do you want to race? Do you want to race? Do you want to race this guy?" So I couldn't go ask anybody if they wanted to race me because nobody wanted to race this little mini. So he'd have to take he had a Datsun, and he'd have to go around and ask people, "Hey, you want to race that car, the blue one?" Because his car was blue as well. And the 2 cars would be parked next to each other. They say, "Yeah, I'll race the blue car." And when they line up and the mini pulls up, it's like, "Oh no!"
Eating their own words.
Tons of fun. Like one of the first time first time I was up there, and after I raced that micro, guy with a Nissan Sentra wanted to race too, so we lined up, and then this other guy with it was a Nissan Sunny. I don't know if you don't get the Sunny in US, but I think you get it in the UK. So this was in the early 2000s. So me and the Sentra were going down, and what the Sunny would usually do, he was so fast, he'd bypass the 2 cars that were racing and pass everybody and get up to the finish line before. He just liked to intimidate people like that. So we're taking off, we're down, and this guy comes up behind me, passes the Sentra, but he could not catch the mini, and he was like this all the way up to the end of the track. And at the end of the track, he didn't go back to the pits. He just went straight out the exit and didn't come back.
Oh no!
So yeah, those days were so much fun, man. So much. I miss those days. Now everything's official. You can't do those things anymore. You can't go up there on a Sunday evening and just act the fool. You have to go. It's all sanctioned racing now. But
yeah, the world's gone
Yeah.
too PC.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, those days were so much fun. Yeah.
Man, that sounds like a blast, you know? I mean, that's something I never got to experience, and I've said it before on the podcast. I really want to try to get into some sort of racing, some grassroots racing. You know, nothing crazy, but just, you know, I want to have that fun. I want to go to a parking lot and do some autocross and just have fun and, you know, talk for lack of a better word, talk shit with the guys, you know, like I got a mini, you know, not that I think mine's going to beat anybody like yours would, but you know what I mean?
Honestly, it does not matter if you beat anybody. It's just so much fun, right? Like it's exactly as you said. There's no place close to you right now that has autocross. Same with me. I have to drive like 2 hours away to the closest place that might have that would have something. They because our season was so short, they try to cram everything into that short season, and then you have all these high-powered cars who really want to run. We don't get to do as much, but what we do have here is like the Saskatchewan British Car Club. Part of when I came over here, I joined that. We go on cruises, so most of the guys in the club are pretty cool guys. Most of them are retired. They're just on a Tuesday afternoon, you see an email come up. We have a WhatsApp group going, and they say, "Hey, we're gonna get ice cream. Who's coming?" And you see a bunch of British cars all driving down it. I think I'm at that stage now that's more fun than what I used to do. But
No,
yeah,
that's fun too. I
pretty good.
agree. I think that's super fun. That's kind of what our little group does too. It's like just a lot of impromptu. Hey, you guys want to go to this Cars and Coffee in the morning? We'll go for a little drive afterwards, whatever it is. And that's just as fun, I think. But I think it's like a bucket list thing for me. Is like I want to do an autocross once, or you know what I mean. Like it's got to get that itch, because
Yeah,
I've said this too.
for
Is like
sure.
I I have amazing driving roads and canyons real close to me, real close. But do I feel comfortable going balls out in the canyon when I could flip over the edge versus a parking lot with cones? I'd feel much better sliding out, hitting a cone than a tree, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah. So tell me, what was the move to Saskatchewan? Was it unrelated to cars and just getting change of pace
Yeah,
and
it was unrelated to cars. Unrelated to cars. It's just change of pace. What happened? I got an opportunity I couldn't pass up. I got a job offer out here in
yeah.
Saskatchewan, which I don't think I ever heard of. Maybe I think we did a lesson on geography once, and the teacher said, "Oh, that's Saskatchewan. There's only farms and nobody lives there." And now I'm like, but I got I wanted to just make change. I had two little kids. They were 5 and 7 when we moved over here, so I wanted a better environment for them to grow up into. So I put my resume out at Monster, got hired over here, just made the move, and yeah, I've been here for 10, 11 years now. So,
Wow.
and what
Nice. All right.
happened? The biggest thing about moving is I had to sell my minis. So I had
Uh-oh.
the 20. We have UK. We have our plate stay with the car, right? So I had two of them. I had 2790 and 9115. That's the two numbers. The 2790 was the race car, and 9115 was the 97 SPI street car. That's the daily driver. So I had to sell those two cars, which hurt me to no end. So my
Yeah.
dad said he'd keep the yeah, he said he'd keep the race car, the 2790, but we'll sell the 9115, which was a quicker sale because it's all streetable and everything. So
Right.
we sold that one. He
And
held on
AC.
to the one. And AC, most
So
much needed.
so
Yeah, so
it's still in the
Yeah.
family then. It's still around?
it was around, but when he retired and he closed up the shop, somebody came over and offered him some money for it, so he sold it. But it's what? Okay, so this is another interesting story. What happened with this car? It was a 8+ block, both internals, with a non A+ head, and that head was poured into stage 3 by a professional machine shop, so it was done properly. It had we had sodium filled valves from a Turbo Sunny E15T engine in there, all modified and everything, but it was a non A+. So somebody told my dad, listen, if you put an A+ head on this block, it'll run much better because everything will be A+. So he took the block, the non A+ head on. That had racing valve springs and everything on it, and he put the stock head on, and was driving the car around and was having such a blast because it would rev now, and it broke a spring, dropped the valve onto the piston, damaged my block, damaged my forged pistons, damaged the head, and it so the car was the engine is it's a boat anchor. He still has the engine in the garage. It's just a boat anchor. Everything in it is wrecked, right? But it's still there because we know. Yeah. So what he did now, he took a stock 850 engine, dumped it in the race car, but it still had the 45 Weber. It still had the big exhaust. So you'd hear this noise, thing coming up the road, thinking it's got the world of luckless because it's got no power. It's got a little engine in there.
No,
Yeah,
it's
but
just
it was
like screaming and a Camry's passing it.
Yeah,
That's
it would sound
hilarious.
great because exhaust and everything. Yeah, it got the Weber. You'd hear the throaty draft from it when it starts driving up. But yeah, it had no power because it's an 850 stock 852. so that car remained up to just maybe a couple of years ago. A couple of friends of mine, they wanted to start a project since the track's been made official. They wanted to get a mini back on the circuit track, so they called me up and said, "What's going on with your car? Does your dad still have it?" So I told them, "Go talk to the guy who bought it," and they're trying to negotiate with him now to get the car back because it's got the roll cage, it's got all the everything else. It just needs an engine.
Right.
So the guys are trying to. I'm not. They're trying to see if this guy's willing to sell it. So maybe I'll see that car back on the track again.
That'd be cool to see it for
That's,
sure.
that's just the
Yeah.
old minis never die. They just get recycled.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Someone takes
to,
on the
to
new
add to
project.
right? So that mini, that same mini that I was just talking about here. When I first got my license, we got our license at 17. So when I was 16 years old, my dad said, "Okay, let's get you a car. Let's build it up, and you learn to drive on this car. So when you turn 17, you just go get your license." So we had a customer who had this mini, and he said, "Oh, he doesn't. He just had an accident with it, and the left side front headlight and fender was smushed in." So he said, "I'll give it to you for cheap. You can use it. It still drives. Use it to learn to drive. If you bang it around, it doesn't matter. It'll just probably match the next side." So he said, "You can have this car." So we bought it off of him. And at 16 years old, man, I was excited. I took the headlight out, put a piece of board in there, a piece of steel in there, and I chained it off, and I reversed the car, tied it onto a post, and pulled the fender out, and everything. Got it all decent enough to the head and was show in the street. And yeah, I started driving that car, learned to drive on that. And my dad took it and said, "Okay, it's good enough to get it inspected or something." So we went to the DMV, your licensing office here, and when it got there, now I'm excited because I'm getting my car, right? Drove into the DMV. The guy comes up, does the inspection. He says, "There's a chassis, a VIN number stamped under the striker panel on the door. There's a VIN number there. There's a VIN number in the front of the car, and there's a VIN number in the trunk. None of those VIN numbers match."
Oh no!
The inspector says, "Listen, the only two numbers that match on this car are the front number plate and the back license plate. Nothing else matches." So this car has to go to a further inspection. It has to go to the impound yard where we'll do another a proper inspection on it and tell you what you can do. When my dad hears that, he says, "Okay, that means we're not getting this car back." So it's Trinidad. He slips the guy $100 and drives out to
Yo, let's go.
Allegedly, he allegedly did that. That's so funny.
And,
Whoa.
so we got home today. We got home like about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we started going bananas on that car. Scrapped every single thing off it: front subframe, back subframe, doors, seats, interior, everything was scrapped off of this car. And we just put the shell down in the back with the other cars there because it had nothing on it, because everything else it was all there. So I started looking for another mini now to put all these cool parts on. So yeah, that's another story too when I got the other car. It's so we took everything off of this car and stuffed it in the storage rooms and everything in the garage, and just that car never that was the end of that car. And then a friend of mine, we told him what happened. We bought this car. He asked, "What's happened to the car you were practicing driving with?" "Well, it couldn't be licensed because there's this problem with it, so we scrapped it." He said, "Okay, well, my sister has this car like 3 towns up the highway. We could go take a look at it, and I'm pretty sure it's been parked for years. She wouldn't probably take much for it." So we go looking for this car. We get there. She has these 3 Great Danes, and they're on the hood of the car is caved in like this because they'll hop on top of that car and sleep. So the car is just the hood is all smushed in, and the car smells like dog. The whole interior, it was basically a kennel for the dogs, right? And she didn't take anything for it. She didn't take nothing. So we had a Bedford truck. Sean would know what a Bedford truck. We
love those little things. They're so cool.
Yeah, so we put the car in the back of the Bedford truck and hauled it home, and we got that one going. So that's the one that ended up being the race car. That's the 2790 one. So yeah,
that's crazy.
I took all we got the body fixed, and we took all the parts out of storage, everything, and put it on this. So yeah, that's how I got my first car.
Man, I love that. That's super cool. So what happened when you?
Yeah.
So when you moved to Saskatchewan, I could say I was gonna say I could say Saskatchewan, but I can't say Worcestershire. But I just messed both of them up, so I can't say either. But what happened? So you
than UK.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, Saskatchewan. I grew up saying Saskatchewan. Our friendly neighbors up north are. So you had to sell these two cars when you moved, and when you got to Saskatchewan, how long did it take you to get a new Mini? Because it doesn't seem like you went many days without a Mini throughout your life.
Well, what happened since I moved here? That one of the reasons I told the wife, like, listen, as soon as we can, I want a Mini. She said, well, we're living in an apartment building. We can't have a Mini. Where would you put it? Where would you work on it? It's like, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. There's street space outside. And she said, no, listen, when we get a house, we'll buy this. We'll get you a Mini. So I kept. I had this thing going on the internet, trying to search, looking for a Mini. And in 2015, we decided we bought our house, and we were waiting to move in. And I see this ad pop up saying this black Mini that I have now is for sale. So I call the guy up. I know I can't buy this Mini because we're buying a house. So but I tell the wife, the deal was we didn't have space for the Mini. Now we do. So we can
there we go.
So we got this. I called the guy up, and it's a place called Milestone, which is about 20 kilometers away from me in Regina here. So it's the car's parked out there for 3 years, and he has it. He brought it into town because he bought it from the guy who had it parked out in Milestone for 3 years. So basically, it's been parked for 5 years out in a field. So I get out there. Brought the car into town because it would have been an easier sale, get the car sold in town. And he said, there's tire kickers coming every day. Everybody wants to see, when they see the picture of the car, it looks pretty good. So they come over and they just walk around the car. Because it's not running, it hasn't been running so many years, they're kind of scared of it, right? So I get up there. I'm a Mini guy. So I get in there, open, I pop the hood off just like through the front there. Because he said, I'm the first person who opened the bonnet properly. Nobody else was able to, because they didn't know about Minis, right?
They couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, turn the top of the SU out, look at it, make sure it had an oil on it. I pulled the air cleaner out. I felt the damper on the back of the SU and made sure it's not stuck and everything. And I checked the radiator, it's got water in it. The basic stuff, right? Just pull the dipstick, look, there's no emulsion or anything. And it's got twin carbs, so I'm trying not to, like, the same way you were when you saw your S, right? Trying not to show your excitement because I want this car. So I'm trying not to show any excitement and everything. It's like, man, this thing needs a lot of work. How long has it been out there? It's 5 years in a Mini.
5 years.
Mini 5 years.
You know, I gotta rebuild the carbs now. The whole engine's gotta come out.
You got mice out there in the fields, a farmer's field, a wheat field has got mice out there. All the wires are straight through. I'm sure I can't even put battery on this thing. So I started,
Do you know what?
Really,
mice love Lucas. Lucas is their favorite kind of wiring. Oh man, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Basically, I got it off of him. I took like $500 off of the price of everything on the car and everything. So, but we still hadn't taken possession of our house yet, and he needed to get it out of the storage. So I told a coworker of mine that I finally got a Mini because that's all I talk about. There's a picture of Mini at my desk and work. My desk looks just like this, Hot Wheels all across my computers and everything. It's just So he knows it. Yeah. So he said, okay, listen, I got space. You can put it in my house till you can move in your house. So we took his trailer. We went and got the car, parked it in his space there, his storage, and the car. He's got a snowmobile, and the snowmobile is longer than the Mini. So he's like, "Are you sure I want to fix this car?" So we parked it in there, and then eventually, I brought it home and I got some pictures on Instagram when I brought it home, and got it going. Took everything off of it, scrapped it down to bare whatever, took the subframes off, engine out, suspension, everything, and just took me like 3 years to put it back together. So 2018 was the first time I actually drove it with its own power. Yeah. And the thing is, like, with this car too, I did everything I could, and then the place I was working, we're starting up a new plant, so I was working full time there, and then my dad came up for a visit. So while I was working 10-hour days. He took everything apart that I did with my car just to make sure it was done right and do it over. So I come home one day and my steering wheel is there, the brake servo's there, the tires are there, everything's like the head's off. I was like, Dad, that's a new head gasket. He said, just did all of that. I just want to make sure it's carved and parked for so long. I got to make sure everything's good. He did over everything that he could get done. Took my steering rack off, which, as you know, was one of the hardest jobs that I don't like.
Oh,
is doing
that's
the
a pain
steering
in the
rack.
ass.
The job. Oh yeah, steering rack and gas tank. So that's the two that I hate. Anyway, we'll get to that later.
Yeah. We'll get to that on the Patty Pro.
That's right. So he
Wow.
took everything off and did it over to his standard, and and so by the time he left, I didn't have good tires on the car. So when I was able to save up that $400 or $500 to buy the tires, I put them on and started driving the car. So yeah, that's the story of this black one here, and I've been driving it every day. So when the season comes around, until just recently, maybe last year. Yeah, last year. I parked it away, and this year I had a bunch of different things going on, so I didn't drive it.
What kind of Mini is this? Is it a 70s or what year is this?
It's an 84. This is an 84 JDM. Yeah,
Oh.
so I think this is amazing. It's not air conditioning, but they took the SPI off of it and put twin carbs on it. They did. The person who had this car in Japan, because there's a bunch of little stickers all over, little notes and everything. And I take pictures. I got some friends on Instagram from Japan with a little Japanese mini group, and I take pictures of these little signs, the little hand notes, and I send it over to those guys. And I said, "What does this mean? What does this mean?"
What is this?
That was before Google Translate, right? So
I'd
send these things over to them. And that says fog lights. Okay, so there's no fog lights in the car, so that's what these wires are for. And so they did. Whoever had this car in Japan, they have an air conditioning relocation kit to use the Roki dash.
Oh.
So you like through the bottom of the where the vents are, it's got new lines going up to the front and coming out to the side, so they could use. So they did a lot of work on this car before bringing it over here. Yeah, so it's an 84. It's got
black
bricks
Mini.
up front.
It's
honestly,
super
black
clean.
was never the color, but it grows on you, right? Like the wing mirrors. I never liked those. I always thought when I get this car, I'm going to take it off. But the thing is, it grew on me, right? Everything about this car kind of grew on me. The only thing I took off and I didn't put back was that undercarriage aluminum tray that blocks the front. Yeah, I had that on. I took it off because coming from the tropics, you don't want to put anything in the way of airflow to your car. So anytime a car came with that back home, we took it off because you want all the air hitting that gear to cool that oil, right? So yeah, just a force of habit, I took it off, and so it's that's the only thing I took off of the car when I got it, and everything else. Every year for every birthday, Father's Day, Christmas, everybody knows, go on my mini sport wish list and choose something off of there that you can afford and buy it for me.
Hey, that's a good idea. I need to start doing the wish list and just sending that link out for holidays. That's a good idea. Because it's like everyone always is like, "Oh, what do you want for Christmas?" I'm like, clearly we know. That's funny. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I didn't know it was a Japanese spec one. So it does have AC then?
Yeah, it does. It does. It has the full AC on it. But the problem with that, the thing about that, when you put the AC, the alternator blocks, it's hard to take out that first spark plug, right? So that's why that's the only thing I hate about it. If you have tuning to get that spark plug out, you have to move the whole alternator back so you can get the spark plug out. But yeah, apart from that, AC, man, can go wrong. But I only drive the car in the summer.
It's a tight squeeze in there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
The heater is more important. The heater is much more important. Because at the end of I drive the car up to, remember North telling you that he drives his car right up to as soon as it gets cold, end of October, September. Same thing with me. Canada weather, right? As soon as it starts getting cold. I think the latest I drove it to was in the mid-October, and that's when you need that heater on there. You need that circulation. And coming from the tropics, I've never liked the heater in the car. That was always extra weight. We take it off, throw it out, just like what Sean did with his. Take the heater off. It's just extra weight. Something you need that leg, that foot room on the back of the dashboard. You don't want to be hitting that heater there, so we take it
That's
off.
it. You don't
This is
need
the
that.
first time
Get
I
rid
had
of
to,
it.
Yep.
It's the first time I had to figure out how a heater works, take it apart, and look inside. Because one year I didn't put coolant in the water, and it froze and it broke the heater apart, the matrix inside there. So,
Oof.
so yeah, so
I'm
I'm all
looking
excited.
I'm
Wash the
looking
car.
at your I'm looking at
Yeah.
your Instagram right now. There's this picture. It's like this beautiful sunset kind of rays, and it's low to the ground. Your Mini's right in the rear 3/4 of it, and it just looks like a amazing picture of, I don't know, I'm guessing Saskatchewan skies, and it just looks like such a clean, nice, simple build. Love it. Love it. There's some actually
well,
really
that
cool
picture-
pictures on here. Did you get like somebody? Was this like a friend or something? Lid
Yeah.
Media.
Lid
Some
Media,
cool
that's
pictures.
the guy, Ruvim Karimov. He's on Lid Media is on Instagram. You can check him out. He's got some awesome pictures. He stops me one day on the street and says, "Hey, I love your car. Let's go do a shoot." I was like, "Oh yeah, no problem. Let's go." So
Oh yeah, some
He
sweet
does-
pictures on here.
Yeah.
Wow, very cool.
Reuven, man, he's pretty cool. And this street there is like they built a bypass just outside of town, and this street was just an abandoned street there that doesn't lead to anything, the dead end. So we just went on there, just blasting up and down. There's rolling shots that he did with him hanging out the car. His girlfriend was driving, and he's just halfway out the window taking rolling shots and everything.
Yeah.
He did some good shots. Makes the car look much
Yeah,
better
very,
than it does
very.
in real life.
As long as it looks good on Instagram, right?
That's all that matters, yeah. Wow.
So the mini crew in Saskatchewan is pretty active then?
Oh yeah, we have a pretty good group here. Since I've got my mini back up and running, well, there was one guy before me, Mitch. He's got Nick. He's got his minis. There's a picture with both of us parked at the show, a green one and me. That was the first mini that's besides mine that I saw here, and he's got his. Then my buddy Wayne Chater, he got his red one finished right after. Then Nick's dad Blair's got a red Woody wagon. So we got a couple, and then I helped my friend Dave got another white mini with a British flag on the roof too, the Union Jack. So he should be back out this year with that too. So we got since I've been driving around, we've got a lot of other minis in Saskatchewan back up and running here and part of the club too.
Awesome. That's always fun. It's
good-
always
good
fun to
keep
have
them
some
alive.
Yep,
Yeah.
like-minded people and like you said, just a random Tuesday, go get some ice cream with the boys or girls.
And
Boys
it's
and girls.
because of the British cars, like all of the parts are interchangeables. Like most, the cylinder head that I have in my car right now is off of a midget, or off of a different variant of another A series engine. First time I'm just driving it, wailing on it because car is meant to be driven, no matter what it is, right? You just get on the highway, you just give her the beads. So I blew the head gasket. Change the head gasket, blew a second one, then realized, oh, the head has a crack on it, which is why I kept blowing the gasket. So okay, whatever. And then I told the guys in the club, cylinder head, so I'm gonna be out for the season. And then somebody in the club, like Wayne, says, hey, I got a couple heads here. Come see which one looks good enough, and you put it on your car. And I still got that head on the car. That's been working. I did the porting of it according to David Vizla's book. So I did the porting according to that, and that's what I got on this 998 here. This runs pretty good.
That's awesome. That's
Everybody
one thing
just-
that
everybody
I
get-
would love to
Yeah.
tackle is just get a spare head and kind of go down the Vizard rabbit hole.
Mhm.
How was that? Was that a fun experience?
It was, man. You just in my old the non A engine that I have back in Trinidad, that head was ported according to his spec too, and this one I just followed everything that he talks about, and it's for best bang for buck, for not having to send it to a machine shop to do that kind of work. It's you follow his instructions, man, and everything just works. It just works. That
Yeah.
Bible was
My buddy
the
Ricky with the truck did his, and it turned out great. It looks
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
I follow Ricky. He does some really cool stuff there with that car.
he does.
That's a worker.
Yeah, he's very handy. A lot of the guys in our little group here, they're very handy, technical. A lot of DIY guys, and it's fun to follow everybody and kind of see what everyone's doing. And Ricky kind of innovates with he brings in that kind of JDM flair. He did the I don't know if you guys saw, he has like the original kind of steering, the bus
Carbon wrapped.
steering wheel. Yeah, he did a carbon wrap of that. Super cool. He does a lot of cool stuff like that. We need to have Ricky back on with video so he can show some of his stuff. He just had a kid though,
Yeah.
so he's
And
he's trying to get into the garage.
Tire. Yeah. He just puts everything in the back of that truck. Mini truck. He works it, right? There's tires, there's hardware stuff. He just packs it on there and just drives it.
Yeah. He does though. It's not even for I mean, unless he's lying to us, but it's a workhorse. He takes it to Home Depot, gets his stuff for his business, and I love that. It's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Ravi, you got any other projects or anything else coming for the Mini?
Well, right now, when we were doing that photo shoot there with Rubin and Lidmedia, I was kind of driving the car back and forth pretty hard, and it started misfiring. So I thought, well, maybe it's just the head gasket again. So I'm gonna change it. I pulled the head off of it, and realized I have a broken ring on number 3 cylinder. So, but
oh no,
it just leaks the oil. The oil's back up through the top. It leaks through the valve cover. It leaks through the breather. So I thought I had an oil leak. So I fixed everything, put extra breathers, put a catch can, and it just keeps storing up the oil. So when I did the compression test, the leak down, it shows it's got like 112, and then I got 80 on number 3. Okay. So I got some plans on it. I've had an 850, I've had 1275, I've had a 998, I've never had a 1098. So I got a 1098 block. So and I got some 1098 20 oversized new old stock pistons.
Whoa,
so that's
let's go.
Did you find those?
I believe a friend of mine saw it on eBay and sent it to me, and he says, "This is what I found." It's like they bought it for a Sprite or something, and they sold a Sprite, and they just had these. They were cleaning out the garage, and they found it, and they put it up on eBay. Said, "I don't know." Dad was like, "I don't know what this is for. It looks like British." But the thing is, if on the side of it has written in pen here, 1100 cc Austin Mini. Or Austin.
Oh, sweet.
Let's go. That's so cool.
This is cool. How could I get this? Buy it brand new. I was looking at some of the ones that Keith Calver mentioned on his website. There's
right.
I think it's Russell Neri makes a nice set of 1098 pistons, but they're like $900 or something like that. Way out of my price range. I'm a cheap guy. When I saw that, they said they want $100 for it. I was like, sure.
Sold.
You want a tip for
Literally.
that? And I sold it. So right now I'm just waiting to save up enough to get the block rebored to 20, crankshaft polished, and I'm gonna start putting it back together.
Hell yeah.
Fantastic.
Such a nice little engine.
Yeah. And my dad always talked about it. He always rathered a 1098 over a 1275 because of the long stroke, low revs, and you get the power, you feel the torque. So I've looked at the torque curve. It's a flat torque curve on a 1098, so I've never felt that before. So I'm doing a Frankenstein here. It's going to be a 1098 block, old non-8, with an A-plus head, with an A-plus gearbox, and a Verto clutch, and twin carbs. So this is a combination I've never done before. I might have to relearn the needles and tune that properly, because right now this one is tuned pretty good if it didn't have that misfire. The best they could have done, just pull the engine out, put some things on it, and let it go, right? But I want to do something else, the mini itch, right?
Yeah, definitely.
This is my winter pro.
Oh, awesome, man. I look forward to seeing that. Have you pulled the engine already?
No, this is what I'm going to do. I don't want to pull the 998 until everything's ready with the 1098, so I could just swap it and just take the head off of that and put it on this one. So I'm trying.
Gotcha.
I don't. And then my garage knot's heated, so it's cold out there right now. So,
yeah.
so I'm just gonna wait till do all the machine work, send that off to the shop, let them do it, and then as soon as the place starts warming up in April, I'm just gonna start swapping over, taking all that.
Bingo bango.
Doing it.
Such a good
Awesome.
plan.
That's right.
Can't wait to
Love
see
it.
it.
Yeah.
Love it. It's gonna be fun.
I've been putting stuff on Instagram as soon as I start getting things going again.
Yeah, everyone go follow X2Board on Instagram. We'll follow along with them and see how this bad boy turns out. It's a great looking Mini. Like you said, black is kind of rare, right? And like you don't see it too often, but when you do, I'm like, oh yeah, man, Minis look good in black. Like we're all used to kind of those vintage colors, but it's a good looking car.
Yeah, I don't think a Mini looks good. It looks bad in any color.
That's
just
true.
Driving back into the club or driving down looks like a pack of Skittles spilled out into the road. It's just every different color.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of hot pink, that's for sure, in a Mini.
Yeah.
That's just Robbie. He's lying because that's what he's actually painting his. That's what the outlaw is going to be, hot pink.
Sean, that's
man, why did you have to?
You're putting those stars close to your chest. That's why. You're coming on.
No. Subtle hints here and there, yeah.
What you gotta do? You do a thing, but you leave the blue. You leave the blue spoiler off.
Pink with a blue spoiler and
oh, what a look that'll be.
You heard it here first,
cheers, guys.
folks. You heard it here first.
So my secret's out now, guys. Thanks.
Hilarious. Well, Ravi, you want to dive into some Patty Probe here?
Let's go.
Alrighty. Number 1, what is your favorite Mini variant?
So, my favorite one is the Moke, because coming from an island, when we were growing up, my dad had a customer who had a resort on the island, and he had a Moke as a beach car. So whenever we go on vacation, we take the Moke and we just drive through the town and drive down the beach with it. And it's an Australian fiberglass model, so you could drive that out on the beach and it wouldn't rust away. And it had a 1275 with a Delorder side draft carb and headers and everything. So this little light thing, you put everybody in there and it'll go because it weighs next to nothing.
Yeah.
So I've always liked the Moke. A couple of years ago, somebody had one for sale in Canada, and I was honestly thinking about selling my car and going after that. But then it sold before. Yeah, it was too much of a thing to get my car sold and then go for that, and then it sold pretty fast.
Thing is, they don't hang around when they go up for sale either, do they? They're gone within that week.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty rare, so people just go after them for sure.
I've never seen one for sale here. I don't that I know of, at least. I feel like somebody always sends me every Mini link that's for sale around here in the United States. Yeah, that's definitely a bucket list car for, somebody that lives close to the beach. That's kind of outside of Minis, just anybody that wants a cool car near a beach. I feel like that's definitely one of them.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that. This is one I want to know. I feel like you've had quite a few. How many Minis have you owned over your life?
Let's see. About 7, maybe. Yeah, 7.
Wow.
But
jeez,
driving cars, 3 that's running. That I can say I actually drove for a lot of time. But yeah, I had, and I not even talking about parts cars. I wouldn't even start counting those. But yeah.
Yeah.
I needed a cylinder head for my first 850, and I went over to this guy who somebody said he's got a Mini in his garage. Go see if he'd sell it. So I go there, and it was back in the late 90s. So Minis weren't as valuable they are now. So the guy says, "Okay, give me $300 for this car," and it's a driving car. It's like, okay, I'll take it. He said, "Yeah, but you can't take this one. You got to take that one in the back there too." And you look down there, there's another Mini on a stand there with no wheels and everything. I was like, oh man, for $300.
All right, if I have to.
Can't argue for that. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
drag your heels.
That's right. Now,
you're gonna make me take that.
We worth much more than anything I can take.
That's good. I love it. I'm curious to hear about this one. I feel like you you kind of talked about all sorts of hot rodding and stuff like that. A series, Honda swap, or other?
Depends on what you're gonna do with the car. So, I think for me, for like like where I live now, if I had a Honda swap, I'd drive it through the winter. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the AC, I tried to start it the other day. It was 0 degrees C here, and it just would not start. I had the heater on it. It just would not start. It was just so cold. So if there was a Honda swap on there, I'm pretty sure that'd start up pretty easy.
Yeah.
But if I was living in the UK, I'd be A series all the way. I wouldn't want to mess with that because the same thing Norris Devin was telling you the other day in his podcast, right? You wait here for parts. It takes so long to get here.
Right.
You've got a short driving season. You got to wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks for parts. So I want to make something reliable. So it depends on what car and where you are.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good answer. I like that. Didn't the Canadian market A series come with like a block heater or something like that? Didn't it have something like that?
Yes. So you got three freeze plugs in the front of the engine. The middle one is actually a heater. It's got a plug coming out of it. When I bought the 1100, when I find 1098, it had the plug coming out of the block. And I've never seen that before. It's just got a in there that goes into the water and it heats it up. So,
And
that's so cool.
It is. I got it. It's like wall art in my garage right now.
I like it.
Yeah.
Let's see here. If you could have a drink, coffee, beer, tea, drink of choice with one mini celeb, who would it be?
David Vizard.
Oh, we haven't had that one yet, have we?
No, we haven't. No. What's an answer?
I would just because when I was fixing up my Mini, I was in A levels in school, right? I was doing my car when I come home from school. I was just working on the car, and when everybody's supposed to be studying for A levels, I'm reading the Bible. How to race. So I know that book. I learned that book like cover to cover because I was just trying to figure out what I could do on my own. I was a broke student trying to get my car running and following every single thing he did. And I actually had the opportunity once, and I did not recognize him. So Trinidad, David Vizard owns a property in Trinidad, I think. So he used to be back on the island all the time. And one day we were up at the circuit, and it's pouring rain. So I'm running trying to get to the stands, but I'm in the pits. And I stand under this tent, and this old guy standing on the other side of the tent, and I'm on the opposite end, and I'm just waiting there for the rain to finish. And as soon as the rain eases up, I just ran across again. And then the guy tells me, "You didn't realize that was David Vizard?" And I almost ran across a live racetrack because he was
to go back
because he was actually driving a car on the island. There's a Nissan Sentra Cup they had. They took a B13 Nissans and they just raced them against each other. So and I think he was driving the Castrol car, and I could have purposely dived onto the running track just because I missed the opportunity to talk to this guy.
That's hilarious. I've tried to reach out via his website a couple times to see if he's around for an interview. I'm assuming he's, pretty old at this time, so I don't know if it's still up and running or not, where that email's going. But if anyone knows, I would love to talk to David Vizard. I've tried to reach out several times, so that would be a really, really interesting.
Maybe. I'm not sure. I think they said his daughter runs the social media, and what he does mostly V8 stuff now. So he does seminars and tells people about engine building. So he still does that at his age. So
yeah, he still does. Yeah, see, that's why I was just trying. I don't know if it just went to spam or what, but I gave him a few little emails, so I'll keep looking because that would be a really cool one. That's one of those kind of Smoking John Rhodes episodes that you just shut up and listen to him talk, whatever you want to say. That would be a really good one. That's a great answer on that. Let's see. All right, somebody that has I haven't thrown this one out in a while. Somebody that's been around minis for a long time before you were born, like you said. If you had the ability to like change something about the Mini, what would it be?
you drop there.
If you had the ability to change something about the Mini, what would it be?
I don't think I'll change anything. Every
Ooh.
quirk on the car gives it a character. So I don't think there's anything I would have changed. I think, oh, okay, so one of the first mods I always do is that exhaust manifold where that it always breaks at the neck there. So I think maybe, or from originally, it should have had like a flexible joint there so the engine could rock independently of the exhaust. So
Right.
that's the only thing that is missing from the original design. So I always cut the exhaust and put a short, flexible joint on that where I'm using the original exhaust. After that, it's goes strictly to LCBs or headers on it just to avoid that. But yeah, that's apart from that. I don't think I could change. I would like to change it. There's lots of things I want that would have been better from day one. But yeah, as it is now, I think every one of these busted knuckles has a story to tell on the Mini, so it's worth it.
Yep. Yes, we do. But that's what's that's what's fun about the Mini, though, and I would assume most cars, but that's what makes the Mini the Mini, and that's the quirks about it, the little idiosyncrasies about it, the little dinky things. The pedals are off. Someone the other day was like, "Are they?" I think my pedals are messed up, and I was like, "Oh, just send me a picture." I was like, "No, you're good." It's just like little things that are just
If they don't have another Mini to compare it to, they'll think it's off center, but that's just the way it is.
exactly. Yeah, it's funny. So, Ravi, man, I appreciate you being on here. Amazing stories, fun stuff. You have anything that you want to leave the people with?
Just get out there and drive your cars, man. Don't hold back. It's the cars are meant to be driven. That Mini show cars should not be in the same sentence. Just drive it, unless it's super rare, like a early S or something. Just get out there and just drive it.
Nah, early S, just still drive the shit out of it, baby. Let's go. I love that. That's a common theme for our show. I think majority of the people that we spoke to so far have said something very similar, man. It's about driving it. That's why the Mini is so popular, I think, because it was such a fun driving car. So I agree with that. Everyone go follow him, X2Board, Board, on Instagram. Follow his new build, the 1098 Frankenstein. Ravi, I appreciate you being on. And I will catch you guys on the next one.
Cheers, guys.